of you online and share with me. As I was on earlier, I listened in on some of the sharings, and I think, as I mentioned last night to some of our participants, that I think it's always an learning experience for me as well. So it is my privilege and also my honor to be able to be in this group and in the bigger group, not just this particular English group, but in the bigger group in Tzu Chi, and calling all of you family, because we are able to learn from each other. And for that, I'm very indebted, and for that, I'm also very grateful. So let us continue on to our Wondrous Lotus review. Last week, we went into the beginnings of chapter 22, Entrustment, and we talked about, the previous chapter, which was talking about the transcendent powers. And in this chapter, it talks about we have all that power as well, and now it is our turn to do so. And we talk about the three actions, which describe the attitudes of teachers of Dharma. Okay. Which were that all the students are equal, okay, in that you should not discriminate against anyone. There are students that learn faster, there are students that need more time, but it doesn't mean that you should not teach all of them. You should teach all of them, but you should teach them differently according to the capacity, but you should not discriminate against any of them. And we also talk about one of the actions being that you should be holding nothing back. Do not hold anything back in terms of teaching. You want to be better than you, and that's what Master once again reaffirmed to us in that day on Monday when I shared this part. That Master said, yes, indeed, it is her wish that when she talk of something, a lead, she wants us to actually follow that lead and continue further and go deeper. Right, like in our environmental protection, right? Master only talk about recycling, and then we all continue, and then we go so much deeper that eventually Master said, well, there's so many recycling and sorting volunteers that they can touch something and they know right away what it is, so that they already exceed the capabilities of the teacher by doing a lot more. So that's what the teachers want, right? Do not discriminate against the students, not holding anything back, and do not be afraid of working hard. You have to be prepared to get to get the works in. So those are the three actions by the teacher. And then we also talk about the three wisdoms, which is the first part is knowing all there is to know, and learning everything there is to learn, and knowing everything there is to know. But the second part, which is the Bodhisattva wisdom, is the hard part, which is to apply what you know accordingly to the capacity of the people that you want to teach it to. And that's the hard part. And obviously, if you've gone on to enough iterations, then it will be the Buddha wisdom. Okay, so it's talking about, first you need to learn your knowledge. Then you need to apply the knowledge. When you apply this knowledge to all the sentient beings and teach them and be with them, then you're there as a Buddha. So it's sort of a journey, okay? Three wisdoms is a journey, okay? We also talk about three roles: the student, the teacher, and both the student and the teacher. We talk about the student being that we have to always be willing to learn. Remember, we talked about the 3 mentors or 5 mentors or many mentors, right? We're very annoyed by people teaching us different things, but we should be happy that there's so many people willing to teach us. And we should be happy that through one thing that we're able to learn so much. Through just one simple act, that so many people are able to teach us so many things. And that's something that we should be happy about. And also knowing that all such spiritual cultivation happens in very, very normal times. It's not just like in the morning Dhamma talk is the time that I cultivate, or when I'm in Tzu Chi is the time that I cultivate, or when I put on the uniform it's the time that I cultivate. No, it's actually every moment. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week: 3 actions, 3 wisdoms, 3 roles. And this week, even though we've gone on to chapter 23, but I wanted to wrap up chapter 22, which is Entrustment. It's a very short chapter because it's really talking about one thing. It's talking about our turn, right? We just gone past 21. right? It's just gone past what all these powers that the Buddha has. And now we're talking about that we have it too. Now it is our turn in the entrustment. So I think this is a time for coming of age, right? This is what we talked about. This is sort of what we are talking about right now in terms of in the time of May and in time of June. Why? Because right now is a time of coming of age. It's a time of graduations. This is a time when all the people going to school, all the people going to classes, they are about to graduate or they have already graduated. And why do I talk about this as a graduation? Because I think entrustment, this entire environment feels like graduation, right? First of all, in a graduation, you have graduates, you have teachers, right? You have all your, and family, friends that coming to attend to your graduation. You have past alumni also coming to here, right? And you have alumni of great accomplishments. And you have the commencement speech. And obviously you have the speech from the president. Okay, so you have all these things, right? So isn't that what we have here in entrustment? If you think about closely, right? In this chapter, we talked about all the, the manifestations of all the Buddha from 10 directions of the world. They're coming here, right? Now, they could be the past alumni, right? Remember in chapter 15, when all the bodhisattvas emerge from the ground? Well, they're coming, they're from the Saha world, right? They didn't go to other worlds. They're coming from here. And in essence, they're all taught by the Buddha. And so they graduate from the same school. You can think of it that way, right? They graduate from the same school because they're all coming from the Saha world. It's just that a long time ago, you didn't recognize them because they're so old alumni. They're so long ago that you didn't realize that they are coming from the same school. Okay, and there are also other manifestations of the Buddha or Buddhas from the other worlds. In essence, coming from different worlds, they're coming from different schools. They graduate from different schools, and they're coming here to witness. Witness what? The graduates. The graduates are the people that have been being bestowed upon, that they will be predicted to be the Buddha of the future time. And they're coming to witness the coming of age, that the Buddha is now saying, you have all the things that I'm about to teach you. I can't teach you any longer because the rest of the path and journey, you got to go on by walking. You will learn more as you walk. I can't tell you more verbally. You have to do the walking yourself, right? So they're coming to witness the teaching, the final entrustment, telling you that I've given you everything that I know from all the past teachings and all the real messages about the world and the society. I'm telling you right now, right? So the participants, whether it's your friends and family, whether it's people from different worlds, right? They're coming to witness this coming of age for you, right? So the friends' family who might have graduated elsewhere, right? They might have graduated not from the same school, or they could be from the same school, that happens too, coming to witness the teachings of the school, right? If you go to, right? If you go to our own Tzu Chi International School in KL, are you from that school? No, you're not from that school, right? But your kids are. And then you go into the school and you go like, oh my God, this is what they're teaching. This is what they're teaching to their kids, to my kids, right? Everybody walk in such a very orderly fashion. Everybody dressed in a very neat way. Yes, you know that's the teaching, but you didn't see them because you don't go to school here. You come here and you realize it's not just my kid. It's not just my kid's class. It's everybody in this class. And then look at who else is here. The people who graduated from this class, from this school. Who? The Tzu Chi volunteers. Yes, they didn't come from this school, but they come from the same system, right? We dress the same way. We walk in right angles. Well, we don't really walk in right angles, but we try to turn in right angles, and we carry ourselves in a certain demeanor that make us graduate from the same place, right? So friends and family that might not be coming from this school, or they may not be within this system, they're coming to witness Buddha's teaching, just like 10 directions, from all of this, right? They're coming to the Saha world to witness the teaching of the Sakya Muni Buddha to the people here in the Saha world. Just like the friends and family who didn't graduate from our Tzu Chi International School or are not within the system of Tzu Chi, they're coming to see, oh wow, so this is what Tzu Chi teaches, right? So they're coming to witness the teachings. That's exactly what this is, right? This is exactly what entrustment is. And not just that, but the past graduates, the alumni, maybe the brother that graduated earlier, or the parents who also come from the same school system, they come back and they reaffirm what they had learned from the school. They come back and then they listen to the commencement speech, or they listen to the speech from the president. And then they go like, that's the same speech that the president gave when I was in the school. And it had benefited me a lot. And I want to reaffirm that. How many times, and this is not just in commencement, how many times in the certification ceremony that we were there as family or member, but we are reaffirming our vow as 佛心师智, even though it wasn't me that was getting certified. This is exactly the same thing. The Bodhisattva that emerged from the ground, they're like the alumni, and they reaffirm the same thing that the Buddha taught them when they were also coming of age. They reaffirm that all the things that the Buddha was talking about, they learned too, and that they're walking right now. And if they had deviated from it, they need to come back, right? Many of you that while in the certification process and ceremony, you go like, oh my goodness, look at how diligent they are. I need to be diligent too. And maybe after you attended, after that, after a couple of weeks after that, you're so diligent. I'm sure you still are. I'm just saying that it's a reaffirmation. You are reaffirmed, whether it's reaffirming the vow or reaffirm the path or reaffirm the way. Whatever it is, the alumni also go through this, right? And then, hang on. Okay, got stuck. Okay, hang on. Okay, so coming of age, then from school. Okay, good. And it's not just that, right? You have the underclassmen who is not graduating, right? It's the graduating class and the underclassmen who haven't graduated, but they are now looking in the future of themselves. They're looking at the people that are graduating. They have to study their vow to continue this journey. They are seeing the future themselves. They're seeing that if they continue this path, they will also be there on the podium to be congratulated. That's what they're doing, right? They study their vow to continue their journey, right? And then there's the commencement speech. Like who? Let me give you an example. Like Bill Gates, right? For example, Bill Gates goes back to Harvard. And what did he say? I didn't have the opportunity to graduate. Doesn't that message sound very familiar? Yes. It sounds like the abundant treasure Buddha, right? He said he didn't have the opportunity to finish. So whoever it is, they will come to talk about their experience as the opportunities that they never had, trying to tell the graduates how lucky they are, how the things have changed. They're talking of opportunities that they never had, talking of a past that is very different from right now. Yes, that's what abundant treasure Buddha was doing, right? This is what the abundant treasure Buddha was doing, telling them, you guys had it easy because your Buddha told you this message. In my time, I didn't even had a chance to tell my students this message. This is exactly like that. Don't you feel that it is so similar to our world? Because Master had always said that the Lotus Sutra, that the Buddha himself was talking about something that is exactly years and years and years later. He wasn't just predicting, for the Buddha, I don't think there exists a notion of time that he already knew or existed, or he is right here, right now, even in the past. There is no sense of time for him, that he knew what we're going through. So the words matches what we have right now. It's just that we had to make the tie, because the words from 2,500 years ago isn't going to tell you about graduation. But now it's happening every day. We just don't see it. Now we're seeing it, right? It's part of our life. We just didn't know it. That's what Dharma has always been around. We just didn't realize it. So that's what it is, right? The abundant treasure Buddha came out and say, Look at all the opportunities you had. I never had that opportunity. Yes, imagine all the people say, imagine that, I had to go to school without any shoes and I had to walk in the mountains for miles and miles. Have you heard that story? Yes, that's exactly it, right? Because it's the same thing. You tell the graduating class, you tell them of your past experience. You let them know how much they need to cherish what they have right now. And that's what this is, right? And then you have the message from the president, right? For example, Shifu or Master giving us the talk, the Dharma talk, to combine everything that's happening right now in the world, right now what we're facing, right now what we need to do. And hopefully the world will be a better place. And maybe Master talks about the past and the present and the future. That's what the president does in the graduation ceremony, right? You are now entrusted. Now you are the graduating class of 2020. Facing COVID-19, you have ever more responsibility to the world. What can we do, right? So there's entrustment that you are now a Tzu Chi Ren. You are now a, Harvarder. I don't know what they're called, but you are now from Harvard. Now you need to wear the crimson with pride or whatever they're going to say, right? So that's entrustment, right? You are now representing one of us and the expectation. So you are expected to do all of this, right? Isn't this what this chapter was talking about? Yes. So I went through this really quickly because I really want to go through the questions, and I prepare 10 questions today. So 10 questions, then hopefully answers and contemplation. So I really want to go through this, but when we just flew by, in 10 minutes or so about the chapter on entrustment, I just really want everybody to bring it closer. Yes, there are a lot of deep Dharma within, but what I really want to do is you can see all this Dharma when you are living through it. But if you don't see it, then you're just living through it without knowing that it's Dharma. So I think when we're going to all these graduations, soak it in. I am one of the members here. This is like our Vulture's Peak. This is like what the graduation or the certification ceremony is like. And that's what Entrustment, chapter 22, is talking about. Past alumni had all these supernatural powers. You have it now. You are now empowered. You are graduating with that diploma. Now you are graduating and you are empowered to do this. That's why entrustment, this chapter is talking about, graduation. Okay. And of course, Master at the end said, well, there isn't an end to this graduation just yet. That's where chapter 23 continues on from there. Master talks about for several days, talking about that it's not over yet because, the bell hasn't rung, or you haven't had the buffet, or you haven't had the, hors d'oeuvre, or whatever you're supposed to have at the graduation ceremony. It's not over yet, right? You just took a picture and you took the diploma and you walk off the stage, but it's not over. There's called an after party or whatever that is, right? So whatever there is after that. So the whole point is there's more after this, but this entrustment is just like our graduation ceremony, okay? So let me go into the questions. I really wanted to get into this question, okay? So this particular question is really talking about, if you look to the right, the very fine reading, the fine writing talks about, people like to compare, right? So if you gain, you have bad karma when you're the ordinary people are never satisfied with what they have. The more they try to gain, the more they suffer, right? And the more bad karma they create. That's what the main thing was, right? So the person that asked this question was wondering, well, what if someone is going to school, right? Are you telling them I'm content with a B? Or if someone who is just starting a career, right? I'm content by being a custodian, or I'm content by being a low member of our group, then there's no aspiration for you. Is that what you're saying, right? So the idea is, no, that's not what this is saying. Let's see what we're actually saying, okay? So the idea that what the book was talking about, if you continue to pursue because you're never satisfied, then that is the wrong cause. It doesn't tell you that you should not continue to pursue. It just tells you that you have a wrong origin. That's what this is telling you, okay? So this sentence is broken into two parts. Continue to pursue a state of excellence because you're never satisfied. No, That should not be your motivation. Then what should be your motivation? Have you heard of this? Know your blessings, cherish them, and sow more blessings. This is also continuing the pursuit of more blessings, but it changes that. You have to know that you have to be grateful to begin with, right? So instead of, because you're never satisfied, to get all these fame and wealth, that's why you continue to pursue. No, that's going to get you in trouble. However, if you count your blessings, if you go like, well, in this time of crisis, I have a job and I'm very grateful. I'm grateful because my parents and all my classmates, I've just gone through the graduation, and all of my teachers taught me what I need to know. And therefore, I am here today. I am here today because people are buying our product, and I'm grateful. Now, you change that. It's not that you're not satisfied with, you're not satisfied. It's not that you're not satisfied. It's that you're so grateful that you want to do more to give back. So therefore, I've gotten all this from my school, and I want to give back. I've gotten so much from the society, so I want to give back. I've gotten so much from my parents and the people around me, so I want to give back. That's why I want to continue to be the best I can. That's why I want to continue to pursue the career, so that I can do more to help more. So it's not quite the same. And I hope that remember this. It's not passively to say, then we shouldn't compete, right? Then we shouldn't, we should always be content. No, it's know your blessings, cherish them, and sow more blessings, okay? So very similar. Master taught us to be accommodating, but isn't such only makes people so used to be accommodated, and the people that we accommodate to, unable to tolerate those who don't, okay? Okay, so very good question, right? So if I am always accommodating to you, okay, if A always accommodates B, doesn't that make B so used to be accommodated that when B interacts with C, who isn't accommodating, then they will just keep on fighting, right? That's what this question is asking. So let me first by saying that accommodate, there's actually two parts, right? In Chinese, it's two characters, right? So first is tolerating. You have to tolerate. First you tolerate, then you accept. But accommodating isn't the only thing that was taught. Accommodating was a tool, part of a suite of tools, right? It's like Microsoft Office. This is just Word. You still have PowerPoint. You still have OneNote. You still have Access, Excel. You have all these things. So accommodating is only one of many tools. So when you look at whole suite as a whole, what does it actually do? It's talk about Bodhisattva Path. It talks about, while I'm accommodating to you, I also need to deliver you. I also need to help you get onto this side to accommodate others. So what this means is that don't take it piecemeal. You need to see the whole thing. It's one tool out of the suite. Yes, accommodating means that we're trying to accommodate for someone. At the same time, we're doing this so we don't have bad affinity. When we have good affinity, we will bring him onto the path so that he himself will accommodate others. That's what the path is talking about. It's not just one-sided accommodation. Okay, so hope that's clear. Question 25. We're going right along, cruising right along. Okay, why does Venerable Sariputta still need to expound three vehicles in his Pure Land? Aren't the residents there already Bodhisattva? Bodhisattva should be walking the path of Bodhisattva, which is great teaching. Okay, so very good question. This is all very good. Following the same logic, why doesn't it work? Why does it work this way? Okay, so very good question. I really want to, comment on all the very good questions that we're getting. It takes a lot of time to be thinking too. So let's think about our world right now, right? Tzu Chi Foundation. This foundation, it is Master Cheng Yen's Pure Land on Earth. On Earth. And this is what we're talking about, right? Just before I entered, this is what Sister Wan Qing, I believe, or Sister YY, they were talking about. Master going through the depictions and descriptions of the Pure Land today, right? So there's this discussion about what that is, and we indeed have that here, right? Master was talking about the glass and all of that, right? So it's like I said earlier, right? It's Buddha's prediction of the future. And I don't want to say prediction. I would rather say that he's right here, right? The Buddha is right here with us. At the same time, he was there 2,500 years ago. So in terms of the time perspective, it's very different from how we perceive, because we're not there yet. But I think he existed without the regards of time. But that's just a different metaphysical description or discussion. But I think Tzu Chi Foundation, it is Master Cheng Yen's pure land on earth. Okay, so if there is already this pure land on earth, everyone is a bodhisattva, right? Master called us by our bodhisattva, and everyone is walking this path already. Should be, right? So why Master continues to teach it? Why? Because we're not quite there yet. Because sometimes we walk 2 steps and we move back 3 steps or 1 step. Because you still need to teach them. Bodhisattva are trainers and trainees of different levels, and they're still learning. They're still learning. They need to learn by doing. They learn by practice. So because they're all bodhisattvas, they're still learning. Just like right now, Tzu Chi is a pure land. In Master's mind, in her vision, this is a pure land. But look at who we are. We're not there yet. But it's a pure land already because it's so different from the Saha world. So same thing. I think it's a wonderful, ideal pure land. But the pure land, just like Master talks about the Heiqu Douhu today, if you can change their lives, that's pure land. But does that mean that around them there isn't people that are not in the pure land? Of course. Does that mean that now we're in Tzu Chi, there are people around us who are also in Tzu Chi? Well, there are, but there are also a lot more people that are not in Tzu Chi. So that's pure land, but there are a lot of people that's not in pure land yet. So that's why you need to continue to expand, continue to perpetuate what this is. So that's what I think. Yes, continue this teaching because there's still so many more that's not there. Pure land isn't just this one world. It's actually one part of a bigger picture, and the members of that pure land needs to expand. That's how I see it. So like Tzu Chi, we're continuing to do this. So I think this is from Sharon. This is weeks ago we talked about the 4 things: permanence, joy, I, and purity. But it's conflicting because don't we always learn that life is impermanent, body's impure, and there's no I? So how does that work? Is that a tool? Is that a goal? What is that, a state? What does it actually mean? So I see that. I share that it's a tool. It's a way for us to think. It's a way for us to change our perspective, right? So we know that life is impermanent. But why do we always keep on making vows to be life after life, right? Because impermanence and permanence are 2 sides of the same coin. It's the same thing. You see life is impermanent, so you want to make sure you learn the truth that has always been there. So it's always the same thing. How do you go from passive to being active? It's the same thing. You could go into the mountains and cultivate, but on the flip side, the actual cultivation is within the people, within the group of people, within the masses. So you always try to use this as a tool. You see that life is impermanent. So we want to cherish that even one moment, and we can perpetuate it forever, right? Is the work arduous? Is the work very hard? No, it's filled with blessings and Dharma joy. That's what we do, right? It's the same work, but instead of saying it's so hard working, you switch it and you say, no, it's a blessing. It's a Dharma joy, right? So that's what we do. So I think it's just a perspective. All these are just a perspective. Changing from impermanence to permanence. It's just training to us to change the perspective, to see the other side, to propel us on. So let me get through this very, very quickly. Tzu Chi Star, which is very, very far. There was May 28th. What's the message in the analogy? It's very, very long. So perhaps the distance might seem long and far. In terms of light year, it's only 16 minutes. That's what Master talks about that day. And what is it trying to say? I think the same as Bodhisattva. Is it really long? Is it really arduous? Is it really hard? Yes, it's long, takes a long time. It's very hard work, yes. But if you know how, if you have a guide, and if there's a group of people that's along with you, is it so long? is it so hard? That's what the light speed is trying to tell you. That yes, it looks long, but in the perspective of light speed, it isn't so bad. So same thing. We always talk about Bodhisattva Path being so long and so hard. But if you know this path, if there's a guide taking you along and there's a group of people that you're walking together, is it so long? It doesn't seem as long. It doesn't seem as arduous. And that's what we have right now. Okay, so I'm cruising right along. So once again, we heard this. Okay, so the Buddha couldn't finish. That's why he wanted to do. May I know that it could only expound in places of suffering, and I want to make sure that suffering is arbitrary. What I mean is that by that is to different sentient beings, suffering takes different forms, right? To the people at Douhu, maybe they didn't realize what suffering is, but to us and to the people that are really, really rich, or to master, we all have different forms of suffering. We all have different forms of what ails us, right? So same thing. I think Lotus Sutra is a journey. It tells you that it's a journey. You will go from here when you're not sure what happens to here when you know what need to do, right? It's a tool book. It tells you when you're upset, what you need to do to get over that. It tells you you need to make more vows. It's a guide to tell you what path to take. That's what Lotus Sutra is. So by this, it means that talking about the sutra is telling you about the journey that the Buddha has gone through. It tells you about the tools that the Buddha had used. And it guides you when you encounter these problems. It guides you about how to make the decisions, okay? So that's what I think. I'm sorry I go over time, but I try to get to as many questions as I can in the very fast speed that I can. But I hope this gives us a much better idea about all these things tied together, because it isn't just about one chapter. It is about the application of these chapters, about some of the ideas. How do you make it work in your real life? So I hope that helps. I hope that it gives us a better perspective about what Dharma is. It is not just in the confines of these chapters. It is so much more. And I enjoy it immensely to try to think about how this chapter works in our life and how our lives work in this chapter. That's what I enjoy immensely to try to think about and contemplate it. Thank you so much. Sorry that I go through this very quickly, but I hope that thanks to all the people that asked a question, it really gets my brain just churning just to think about, this is such a good question. How in the world am I going to answer that? I might speak very fast, but the answer comes out very slowly. It's good questions, okay? Thank you all, and best wishes and best of luck to all of you in the coming week.
Thanks. Thanks, BroJoe. So every time I heard Brother Joe's, I can learn my English in terms of the Buddhism's on master teaching, right? And it's time again to share with you all what's happening in US. I think I still remember what was the last time we met, right? I think we met in KL live in December, and just a short period of 6 months, I can say that 4 months, the world is turning around. So, and it's quite, actually we plan to go back during our board meetings in June, in April for US, but I think you know what's going on, right? So today, basically, just continue the Lotus Sutra, right? For chapter 21, how you can see, you can imagine the Buddha and Bodhisattva, all the sentient beings gathering in world of Saha, right? To pay respect to Sigamoni Buddha, right? It's the same thing. We miss Master so much around the world. So the heart, I think the mind, the respect to Master is the same, similar, the same heart that all the Buddha, Bodhisattva, sentient being around the universe respect to Sigamoni Buddha, right? So we need to match it, right? Match a story in the Lotus Sutra in the real world, in the real Tzu Chi world. So this is how the story of the song coming out. We really miss Master, a lot of them, not just us in US, Philippines, and a lot of people around the world when I create the song, right? So I just do my sharing. Okay. Okay. So so this is how the, when things happens, right? Can you? Okay. Okay. So I think we are kind of tear apart during the COVID-19 era. We are 1,000 miles away from Master. We always go back quite frequently, right? So we see, look for the teaching, look for the comfort from Master, right? But at this time, a lot of things happens, and Master really give encouragement and give us a lot of positive energy to US people, especially, right? So I feel that we are close at heart, you know. That's why the songs, everything is just, the meaning of the songs is a connection back. It's a connect back to Master, what we are suffering during this COVID-19. We are fight or we are flight to the virus. It's just a small, tiny virus can turn around, turn upside down our world, and it also assess our cultivations life as a Tzu Chi member or disciple or Jing disciple, right? It's a time, really. Are you fight or you flight? We still ordinary people, right? So we have a lot of uncertainty, but Master, during our connections, during our Zoom time, the first word that came out and touched my heart is, we really miss you. Everyone miss Master, and Master also miss all of us. Those just single word trigger me. It's like, oh, don't forget our Master, our spiritual teacher. She always give us a positive energy during the uncertainty time, right? That's the most important message for the songs, and the songs, and even just 2 weeks ago, everyone know that US has another big event going on due to the Black Lives Matter protest, right? And Master doesn't tell US, oh, you guys need to do more, but she just say, come back home if you can't after COVID-19. Wow, it's just like a mother, right? Just tell a daughter, a son, come back home. I know you're worried. So it so touched my heart that every disciple in the US, you can find what's the essential in Tzu Chi world, how we should treat each other, how Master treat us. Master doesn't bring us in this US. We know that we are not doing good enough in US, but we try so hard, as everyone know that. But the Master just simply say, come back home if you can't. Just call Brother Stephen Huang, right? And also Brother Jackson. So touch. That's coming up the song itself, right? So, and I will play the MV, sing my daughter Evelyn, and this song has so much deep meaning, and is a blessing from Master. And of course, during a blessing, we find our home, and it also blessing for the whole world. Soon we'll recover, and although we are far apart, but our heart, our mind, always close to each other, like in a one room, right? So let's listen to the songs, and I just asked my daughter to put the English subtitle. This is just finished. Hope you can enjoy the song. 祈求平安幸福，虔诚为世界祈福，祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，水和千里之外，是不同心相伴。好想念你，虽然无法在您身旁，回忆着每一年的这一天，不曾忘记最诚诚的祝福。祈求无灾无难，但愿众生安乐，从今千万祈祷，供养早日相明。祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，祈求平安幸福，虔诚为世界祈福，祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，水大千里之外，始终同心相伴。虽隔千里之外，师徒同心相伴。同心虔诚祈祷，苦难早日消弭。
感恩上人，虔诚祝福上人法体安康，常住世间，法轮常转。
Okay. Yeah. So this is a song that represents most of the whole U.S. People around that times. What's going on during this COVID-19, right? And the good thing is right now, Master talk about the speak of life, right? It's kind of getting science right now. So our thoughts right now is faster than speak of light. We immediately connect to the Master when we heard about these songs, right? So this is what we call如来神力, the transcends of the power of Buddha, right? Everyone has it. You right now you experience it. Right? So that's what everyone told me during hearing of these songs. Their heart is so connected to Master during that uncertainty time. I think you can say that this is one of my functions as how the songs can really connect each other together, especially the songs that have a lot of meanings for the Tzu Chi brother and sister. Right? So this is what happening to the song. And remember for the last 6 months, what we did with the English Xunfa Xiang people, we pray, the power of praying, right? We're still there. The song, everyone still remember. This is my English first song. And it's so touch a lot of people that wake up at 3 a.m. on time to the center, just pray for Master and still remember the song. We hope Master always be in this world, right? And you know, after 6 months, what's going on? Yeah, we did it after long-awaited 167, more than 67. This is from Master Cheng, right? And finally, Master continued the Lotus Sutra. So we are so happy. I think everyone's praying every day. It did gave power to the Master, right? And what's that power? And we also, during the COVID-19, first online live music sharing. Those people like Chiu师兄from Jordan and Michael So from Philippines. We all friends during our meet together every year during Chinese New Year, right? So we just get everyone together. And what's the most important is that the sharing from Michael, right? And he said that everyone, all of us miss Master so much. But one thing we can do is transform our miss to actions. That's the most powerful verse, a quote from all of us agree that, yeah, we are far apart from Master, but we need to transform the miss to actions and give the power and love and giving from Master to those affected by COVID-19. That's a takeaway from this music sharing. I think this is so wonderful. If we have time, we can share a lot of story how they miss Master so much, and what's a few things that Master teaches us during this COVID-19 praying, right? Be vegetarians and promote it and help those affected by COVID-19, right? So it's just a way how Brother Joe just mentioned that life after life, how we maintain, especially our mind and thought, how we make it happen. We talk about the power, and I have my way. My PhD is in quantum physics during semiconductor, right? I already know some of the hidden secrets of how science already proved that. And Master also, based on these experiments shared by the professor in there's one scholar in Taiwan, right? Mao Jiao. And this is what Master replied. Actually, those particle wave in the very tiniest world, it actually is our sincere mind. This sincere mind can penetrate all layers or dimensions and beings. That's why the praying is so important. Every night I still maintain my praying. I know this power indeed in physics is already proved that, and it is a participatory universe. It's from the Nobel Prize winner. And 2 days ago, I just realized that, yes, why Master always mention 入人群, reach out, don't self-cultivate yourself, right? 不是独善其人. The whole universe is a participatory universe. It's all make up from your mind. So that's why Brother Joe just now mentioned transcendence power, the chapter 21. Then you can understood. You have two choices, right? Either you follow your karma, be fight or flight, or you start to instill a power, a potential power from yourself, or shown by Master, shown by all the Tzu Chi brother and sister, Bodhisattva. So during that time, I do a lot of sharing to our English group in our trainings, and share how we reach out, start harmonize our world with love. This is our choice, right? Don't be fight or flight yourself, always worry about what's going on, but reach out. You have two choices, right? It's all in your mind and harmonize. I start to reach out, use the neighborhood, and a lot of people give a lot of warm greeting for my kindness, sending the mask to them, our neighborhood. They call me Angel. And at work, I also share my giving to my colleagues, they gave us so wonderful response. It's in one way we create love environments, right? And PPE delivery, we did a lot of PPE deliveries, right? In US, more than 1,000 organizations around the Tzu Chi brother and sister. And the coming, I also the main coordinator for TCN North California chapter. So we have a relief coming out of thanks to Jing Master to give USA a lot of Jing rice and noodle so that we can harmonize the US condition right now with love. We want to show how love can cure the dividends in the US, right? So, and vegetarian promotion, we have a lot of vegetarian promotions. We just did it to the China Jingshi shop 9th anniversary. So we shared to basically outsider from China. There's 10,000 people watching this one. We just share it from our family, how we maintain and continue our vegetarian for 17 years, right? So and how we use a science to the young people to continue the vegetarian. So and this is how we try to the choice, right? We have. So hope that last 5 minutes I will sing live. Then everyone's you can follow me. Hope that the songs can make our thoughts and mind forever, life after life. Just follow our master, and master always in our hearts, right? That's why I call this song is the path for going home. So I complete the 6 songs, and the final song is always in our heart. That's a purpose. Everything is just connect back our heart thought. Make sure every day in your daily life, master will guide us, and master always in our heart, right? So okay, let's going back and to that lyrics in front. Sorry about that. Okay, and if possible, we can sing the song together on live. 好想念你，很想回到您身旁，看着您欢喜的笑容，迎着我们回家的路。好想念你，虽然无法在您身旁，回忆着每一年的这一天，不曾忘记最真诚的祝福。祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，祈求平安幸福，虔诚为世界祈福。祝您无量寿福，愿您法体安康，虽隔千里之外，师徒同心相伴。好想念你，虽然无法在您身旁， 为着每一年的这一天，不曾忘记最真诚的祝福。祈求不再不能，但愿众生安乐，同心虔诚祈祷，苦难早日消弭。祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，祈求平安幸福，全成为世界纪录。祝你无量寿福，愿你法体安康，虽隔千里之外，师徒同心相伴。虽隔千里之外，师徒同心相伴。同心虔诚祈祷，苦难早日消弭。Okay, thanks so much. I think hope everyone through the songs remind us back to what Master care about us. Although we are apart from the world, from Master, but our hearts are way close together. I think this will make sure we will life after life, we will still follow the same path. Thank you so much.
Hi, good morning to everyone, and especially for Brother BaoRu. And I know the time is the time of jet lag between Malaysia, Taiwan, or in America. But anyway, it's very wonderful sharing about the activity that Brother BaoRu showed to us is to translate and transform the myth of Master to the action. And I believe, as what Master thought, she is so unfair to see her disciple, which is around the world, and especially facing such a very crucial lesson from this COVID-19 and another very big event, the protest due to the man-made protests and bring the society unrest in America. And I believe Master's heart is always with you all. And I remember for last week when the KL International School having the video conference with Master, and before the ending for the conference, and they have a few little kids from the kindergarten who came out, show to the video at the screen in front of Master, and one of the little boys say to Master, say, Sugong, and we all miss you, and we would like to embrace you, and I would like to have a hug with Sugong. And I think our Sangren, she is so kind and compassionate, and she already to use her spiritual power, and she say, yeah, let's everyone please open your both hands so that we can hug each other. And the action that I show from the video screen, it was so touching. And to be honest, if you have a very sincere heart, you truly can feel like all of us, not just a little kid boy or the boy, we all have a chance to have a big hug with our masters. And at the moment, at the second, and I myself also feel like, oh yeah, we are in the same boat, and we are in the same connection. so touching, and until now, it so give a very impression in my mind. So I hope that all the disciples of our masters, I believe that you guys so diligent in on listening to the master's teaching, regardless of the you are facing the very crucial. The problem is in for COVID-19 because due to we have a limited spaces or because we have a social distancing between people, and so that maybe you can limit the activity for Tzu Chi to go out. But as in the other way, we have more time to listen to the right Dharma and to purify our heart. So this is also we need to be grateful for. I think this is my feedback for today. Sorry I came late because due to my duty. So, but anyway, I'm so cherished time when I can hear for all the volunteers who are, truly uh, to sacrifice your time and your time and also your money to do what masters want to do. This is very cherished. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, and I hope you all can come back quickly very soon, and may we, yeah, please everyone good day every day and every second. Yeah. Thank you. This is my sharing, and thanks for your time to listen. Thank you.
Grateful to have all of you since 5:20 this morning. It's been a joyful morning. Okay, due to time, we need to quickly move on to our this extended sharing with Hualien. Today, we are very grateful to have our very diligent Sister KarPeng with us to share her insights. Please, Sister KarPeng, you can start your sharing now.
Yeah, I hope you all can hear me now.
Yes, very clear. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, it's been a very emotional morning, starting from Sun Fa Xiang, and then with the singing of the song. It's so emotional. Thank you so much. I wish we can continue to listen and sing along, but every good things have got to come to an end. So let me first introduce myself. I'm KarPeng, Jiaping or Mingzhen. Today, what I would like to do is to share Master's teaching on 13th June, Sun Fa Xiang, which I mentioned to Brother Roberts that the lesson that morning resonated so well with me. So let me recap. Sorry, let me stop. The initial verse. In the time of past and future, and sudden in gaining, the difficult to encounter of treasure for the gaining of joy is one that is never before. And Master went on to explain that seize the opportunity. What need to be done, do it quickly. Take it on, accept it, and do it. When the time is right, we must have the confidence that others have in us. Accept and assume the responsibility with a willing heart. A willing heart yields limitless strength. Every one of these words by Master resonated very, very well with me, and it brought a flashback of a recent experience that was so deeply engraved in my memory. It happened some 2 years ago. Does it move?
Yes, it's moving. Yes, the KarPeng. Okay.
Somehow I'm not seeing it here.
Okay. Yes, we can see it. Seize the opportunity. What need to be done? Do it quickly. Yeah. You can't see our screen, is it?
Yeah, it was. No. So this is a sudden and unexpected assignment. Yeah. In August 2018, out of the blue, I received an email invitation from the Office of the Minister of Education inviting me to a roundtable discussion. I was surprised, to say the least, because I didn't know him at that point, and I'm not part of the academia, and I wasn't sure why my finance background was relevant for that roundtable. I was a stockbroker, a stockbroking equity analyst, an investment banker, and a fund manager now. So I have no education background, and education is never my forte. Nevertheless, I was curious, so I accepted the invitation. And at the roundtable, there were about 25 to 30 of us, and it was a closed door meeting. So everyone shared their view about the current education situation. And when it came to my turn, I was brutally honest, airing my discontent with the education system and the product that came out of it. And I took it as a chance in a lifetime to air my view. So I said what I wanted to say, and I thought that was the end of it. But it turned out not being the case. I received a call sometime at the end of September or early October, saying that the minister has decided after the roundtable to set up a task force called the Jawatan Kuasa Kajian Dasar Pendidikan Negara, which is a national education task force. It is to review and revamp the national education system. It was going to be a 6 months assignment, starting from October 2018 to April 2019. And the PA told me that the minister has selected me as one of the 13 task force members. I was shocked. I was surprised. I wasn't prepared for it. And my answer was, no, thank you. I couldn't accept it, and I didn't want to. I told her that I'm not in academia. I'm never a teacher. I don't have any relevant experience, to take on such a big task. So all the N words that I could find, I used it that afternoon. And then she said that they selected me because they were impressed with my brutal honesty that afternoon and my suggestion for change. But I told her that, no, I still don't think that I'm the right person. And then she mentioned something to me which I'm not able to share here, but something to the effect that please don't say no, because the situation is dire and it will result in some imbalance. So I told her that I will think about it, but the likely answer is still going to be a no, because I'm not ready. And I didn't feel that, I'm able to take on such a heavy responsibility, and it also involved too much work for me. But since I promised that I would think about it, so I did, and I spoke to Sister Echo and Brother Chifeng, wanting to seek their opinion. And they both told me that I should consider if I have the time, because at that point in time, we were deep in the fundraising for Tzu Chi International School. I was one of the 3 fundraising committee alongside Sister Subi and Brother Chifeng, and we were still quite a distance away from our target. But Brother Chifeng said something to me that this is an opportunity to do something good for the future generation. And my friends sort of told me that it is time to mean what I say and do what I mean. And they will all step in to help me as and when I require their support. So after giving that a fair bit of thought, I decided to accept the appointment. But I did it with a very heavy heart, not convinced that I have the full capability, but also because I was going to step into an unknown, working with new people in a different or a new setting with different culture. So I was very uncomfortable, to say the least. I had sleepless nights. Low blood pressure, I developed high blood pressure in that 1 month. And in my 1 month, every after meeting, my thought was how to get out of the situation. How can I resign from this assignment? I felt I was knocked out of balance. I felt inadequate. Almost all of those task force members, they were professors. They actually not only professor emeritus. They have masters or at least a doctorate. And I don't have the right qualification for that job, I felt. And also I have got to see through all past policy papers, skim through all of those, and they were all in Bahasa Malaysia, a language that I almost failed in my Form 5 exam. So I was thrown in a new and unfamiliar situation. It was a nightmare. And I didn't know about this, how difficult it was when I accepted the job. So when it came to allocation of the sector at the end of the first month, everyone took areas of their expertise, and I wasn't sure what to pick. Then the chairman of the task force said something to me that, you came highly recommended, and surely that is an area of expertise you can contribute here. I felt my back was pushed against the wall, and I decided to pick moral education, which I later renamed it character education. At that point in time, I didn't exactly know what I was going to deliver. At around that time, I had the good fortune of returning to Taiwan and meet Master. Sister Echo mentioned to Master about my appointment by the Minister of Education, and Master looked at me ever so gently and said that, 你要好好地把握因缘，我祝福你, which means you should truly seize the opportunity. You have my blessing. But in my heart, I was struggling and I was still trying to bargain to say, can I let pass this opportunity because it's causing me so much pain? But throughout the day, Master's words continued to ring in my head. And at some point, somehow, my focus went to these two words, 因缘. And then it struck me at that point in time that it's more than just seizing the opportunity, it's actually seizing the cause and condition. So it's telling me that I either have an unfinished business that I didn't complete or I didn't do well, or that this is an immediate retribution of my brutal honesty. Or maybe it is time for me to plant some good seeds. Whatever that it may be, it is a second chance or a chance for me to make good or to do good. With that, my nerves started to come and my thoughts started to fall in order, accepting that the way is to continue forward. So that realization changed my mindset completely. At that time, my thought was that I have a karmic responsibility to fulfill here. So I was no longer thinking about running away, but instead my focus changed to finishing this job and focus on how to get it done better this time so that it doesn't come back to haunt me. So in a short span of time, I felt charged up with the change of heart, change of mindset, from being unwilling to willing. I accepted the situation or the predicament that I was in. And therefore, I have to start thinking of how to deal with it rather than thinking of how to get out of it. So when the heart is willing, there will be limitless strength. So you sing Jiu Li. When I stepped into Su Xuan that afternoon, there was this book that was staring at me, Realizing Principles Through Propriety. And when I turned the page, what stood out at me was building a perfect character. So I was shown a starting point, and it is from here that I developed the idea of a roadmap to help students to inbuild what I call the moral compass within, drawing on my experience in city humanistic education. And the strength actually is not from me alone. So help started to pour in. Brother Qifeng put in a team comprising of Sister Hui Yi, Teacher Cheng, and Sister Hui Xuan to help me to do a nationwide survey of students and parents to know what they don't like about the current system and what changes they would like to see. And most amazingly, I have Dr. Koo and Dr. Chiu stepping in after they hear my cry for help to tutor me. And I must say that in that 6 months, they were trying to make a professor out of me. They loaned me lots of books on character education by gurus like Thomas Licona, and they introduced me to many people so that I can get new inspiration, etc. And I'm very, very thankful for them. And they told me about what are the current problems that is faced by the kids that is causing so much psychological pain to them. And my teacher's friends also stepped in, helping me to better understand the current system and providing feedback on my ideas. They all came forward believing in the good cause of the assignment that I took on and making sure that I have enough ammunition and knowledge to put in a good piece of work. So when the heart is willing, the strength is not yours alone. It felt to me that I was not alone doing this assignment. This was our assignment, and I was just a vehicle. So that was why I requested to add Tzu Chi Commissioner after my name in all meetings and introduction. Now, don't get me wrong that with a change of mindset, everything became easy. And with the help, everything, was smooth. But was exactly the opposite. I have got to put in a lot of effort. I have to learn, read, and write new things never written before. I was basically holding a book everywhere I go. And I remember there was on my flight to London, a 13-hour flight, I was reading and writing the whole time. And the air hostess came to me and asked if I was a lecturer. And I was burning a lot of midnight oil, and it reminiscent of my uni days. And at some point in time, I actually started to enjoy it because I started to get curious again. I was learning new things, and I was also meeting new people, cultivating new affinity. I remember that, many times when I talked about Tzu Chi education, the minister got very intrigued and he wanted to see for himself what Tzu Chi education is all about. So we organized for him to visit our schools in Jakarta, and he and his entourage was very, very impressed. And during Feng Cha tea ceremony, some of these big men actually started to cheer because they got so emotional when the little kids come up to them, with so much of discipline in serving tea. So to cut the story short, I managed to complete the assignment and handed it in April 2019. And the compiled report was handed to the Prime Minister, whom I was told that he highlighted 2 sections in the report that really interest him were, one, no streaming for secondary students, and the second one was character education. So while this did not get to the final endorsement by Parliament due to the government change, but I felt I have managed to complete a sudden assignment that came my way, which I accepted. So when there is a will, there is the way. But what the 6 months of this assignment taught is not just about finishing a piece of work or learning new things, but it's something more than that, and it's something deeper than that. Looking back, it was more than just a karmic responsibility, and I realized that this was also a lesson or a karmic lesson on the path of cultivation. One, this was a lesson where I was knocked out of balance completely, and I was took out of my comfort zone. My years of experience in the finance sector meant nothing, whether I was the top-rated analyst or a top-rated investment banker meant nothing to the task force members. As far as they were concerned, I was an outsider. I have got to draw on my inner strength actually at that time to pull me through. So it was a very humbling experience for me. But with the realization of Master's message, I was able to get on with it with a willing heart and complete what I have accepted. Now, despite all my reluctance in the initial phase, I believe that this lesson came at the right time for me when I was ready. And maybe I should share with you, some of the difficult situations that I went through in one of the brainstorming sessions, where I was a proponent for English for all subjects and for all students. None of the other task force members were supportive of that suggestion. To them, they felt that the rural kids will fail, and they will fail very badly, and it is unfair to ask them all to learn English. And my reason for that is because from the survey, it does show that certain ethnic groups were less employable because of their weakness in the English language. And at that point, one of them stood up, looked at me and said that the reason why this certain ethnic group was not employed is because the corporates were racist. I was shocked, I was surprised. I didn't expect that to come out from him. But what surprised me most was how I reacted to him. Instead of shooting an arrow straight at him, I asked very calmly that, what makes us think that these rural kids are not capable of learning and that they are not interested in learning English? Is it right for us to destine them as such? There was a long pause and people started to think about it. And even though I didn't get the results that I wanted, I think I gotten them to start thinking, and they were much more ready to listen after that. And more importantly, I have avoided an ugly scene of cross swords. And in Master Tzu Yuan's words, that was indeed a blessing in disguise. This lesson certainly came at a time when I had the maturity to handle, such as avoiding a shouting match, which potentially could have happened if I have reacted differently, and I would have created much more negative karma for myself. So my take away from this assignment are that nothing that happens or come to me is coincidental, that I should seize each as coming opportunity for lesson in cultivation. And that is why the phrase Yin Yuan is now so deeply engraved in me. But it also doesn't mean that I should take on everything that comes my way. I have to have wisdom in making choices too. And in making choices, the litmus test for me is not whether to accept or reject based on the level of difficulties, but much more like what Master often say, if it is right, just do it and don't waste time. And the lesson learned from here is that look for what you have and not what you don't. Yes, I didn't have any of the relevant knowledge like all these professors or people in the education sector. But as the days passed, I realized I have greater propensity to learn and to contribute. I had a newfound motivation that propelled me forward. And it also taught me to be humble and honest to myself, because only then can I learn what I don't already know. And be gentle and willing, only then can you be guided and led. And last but not least, I should embrace each moment and take joy in the unexpected. This assignment was definitely outside the ordinary course of my experience in finance. But it was also one that now I can remember so very well, with all the many lessons learned and the joy I derived when I finally got it done. That's the end of my sharing. I hope it can resonate with some of you who are going through, assignments that I've taken on. Thank you.
I learned so much. Truly wonderful and deep, inspiring sharing from our brave, even though Sister KarPeng is a very timid, small-sized body lady, but very brave for you to transform from fearfulness to fearlessness. Great sharing, Sister KarPeng. Sister Jing Guan, over to you, please. Brother Jing Guan, sorry, Brother Jing Guan.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
can hear you. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for Sister KarPeng sharing. Yeah, I think we are all very proud of Sister KarPeng's accomplishment, and it truly resonates with everyone, including me. I think everyone, because this Bodhisattva path is not easy, and I don't think, I think all of us who are working on this Bodhisattva path will never really feel that this path is, that there will be a time when this path will be truly easy, because we will always be given opportunity to take on a greater challenge, and because we are not perfectly cultivated yet, so there's always challenges ahead. But when there is a will, there is a way, there will be help. And I think we should have this trust and faith in the potential in everyone, including ourselves. And that is pretty much what this transcendent power and the chapter on the entrustment is talking about. So yeah, I really like how Sister KarPeng shared that we should let go of our small self, the emptiness in I, right? So at first we'll see the challenges as like our karma that we have to, because we did something not so correct in the past, then we have to cultivate ourselves. But actually it's really a change in perspective. So we can change from the the fall to the there's no the impermanence, the suffering, there's no I, and then the 常乐我净. So with the change in perspective, we can experience what is 常乐我净. And lastly is that remember when we feel that we cannot go on, we can look for other people to help. And very importantly is we can find strength in master and abode. And yeah, we in abode really miss everyone, and we hope that everyone can also come back early to regain the strength from the abode. Okay, all right, that's all for my feedback. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Brother Jing Guan, for your wonderful sharing. Yeah, time is always not enough. Sorry, brothers and sisters, we have extended the time. We've overrun our time a bit. Again, I wish to express our gratefulness to Brother Joe Huang and Sister Tzu Chi for initiating this extended sharing with Hualien. Okay, we will meet again for this extended sharing next Saturday. Always every Saturday from 8 to 8:30. We will continue to learn from each other to walk this Bodhisattva together. And like Mr. KarPeng said, we will deepen our this yin yuan, with each other, deepen our yin yuan with our Shangren, our master. That is the most important. Wonderful, so grateful to have all of you to be with us this morning. Thank you so much. Ome Tong Fo. Bye bye. We'll see everybody again next week. Bye bye. Have a good day. Have a good week.